Firebombs, vandalism, deadly threats. Pro-abortion activists have attacked more than 60 pro-life organizations since the Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade. That decision was leaked to the public.
And the response to these crimes from the FBI and the Departments of Justice and Homeland Security has basically been silence. Likewise, the president has yet to comment. Heather Sells reports on this rising wave of vicious assaults.
Since May and the published leak of a draft opinion in the Dobbs abortion case, hostile actors have targeted at least 63 pro-life groups in 26 states and Washington, D.C. The attacks have included vandalism, threatening messages, and firebombings.
What's been so striking to us is the non-response.
The Religious Freedom Institute enlisted the help of a former FBI counterterrorism expert to assess these crimes. That analysis found the number of violent events growing since May and resulting in little to no condemnation from federal leaders.
In terms of headquarters level, the leadership from the FBI, from the Department of Justice, and from the Department of Homeland Security, for the most part, has been silence.
We could surmise that if 50 Planned Parenthoods had been vandalized, firebombed, there would probably be an uproar about it.
Ann O'Connor, lead counsel for a national organization of crisis pregnancy centers, says that while local law enforcement, the FBI, and Homeland Security are investigating many of their cases, she's seen no progress.
I don't believe there's been one arrest. It's been going on now 3 months.
CBN News asked the FBI for an update on suspects or arrests and received none. Only a general response that it is investigating the crimes. The Religious Freedom Institute report also reveals a wave of assaults on Catholic sites. More than 30 churches have been attacked since the Dobbs leak, with half showing abortion as the motive. Well, President Biden has yet to publicly condemn these attacks. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi angrily dismissed a reporter's question about them.
This talk of politicizing all of this, I think, is something uniquely American and not right.
And Vice President Kamala Harris even suggests that faith should not inform a person's view on abortion.
One does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held religious beliefs to agree that a woman should have the ability to make decisions about her own body.
In this current climate, the Religious Freedom Institute report forecasts more attacks, and it is urging pro-life organizations and churches to reevaluate security and strengthen relationships with law enforcement.
If people who want to harm pro-lifers, who want to burn down their pregnancy centers, who want to do physical harm and violence to the staff and the volunteers, if they think they can do this and get away with it, more and more of them will.
Gordon, this report is part of a multi-year investigative effort by the Religious Freedom Institute.
Well, Heather, what does the future look like for crisis pregnancy centers?
A lot different right now, Gordon. They are really thinking about security in ways they haven't. A lot of them are realizing they have to make their case and explain how they operate to local and state officials that they might have taken for granted in the past. They really need their support now. And we also know that in Massachusetts just this week, they are calling on the Attorney General and saying, how are you going to protect us? How are you going to help us here? So very real concerns about security for them right now.
Well, if the attacks continue to be ignored, what does that mean for our country?
Yeah, on a couple of levels, it's quite concerning. One is that the attacks will increase, and they'll increase in their level of violence if no one is calling them out or really taking them seriously. There's also concern, Gordon, just about freedom of religion and pluralism in our country. Are people going to feel chilled in their free exercise of religion and in having different viewpoints by these attacks not being taken seriously? And then the overarching concern here, Gordon, is America traditionally has been a gold standard across the world in terms of freedom of religion, and we have taken other countries to task for their lapses in this area. So now we are no longer keeping our own house in order. What does that mean for us here in this country and for our ability to help the rest of the world protect religious liberties?
Well, Heather, thanks for that report. And I'll just add, what does it say for the rule of law? If you say certain crimes can happen, vandalism can happen, firebombing can happen, threats of violence, threats of death can happen, and there's no response from law enforcement, they don't do anything in the wake of that. Well, what does that mean for the rule of law? And aren't you encouraging the violence? Aren't you encouraging the vandalism? This is absolutely something that our leadership should say, this is not right. You can't have this kind of lawlessness and maintain a society. The prime thing government needs to do is to make sure that people are secure in their property and protected in their person. And if you aren't doing that, well, then you're going to have chaos.